We've got John McEnroe and Charles Barkley here, and 2 segments with them coming up. So we'll get to as much as we can. Something that wasn't seen there in that little montage is an issue that is on the front burner now, even though it's always been there, and that's guns in society in general and in sports in particular. On Sunday night at halftime of the NFL game, I noted, quoting Jason Whitlock, who's now with Fox Sports, used to be with the Kansas City Star, quoting him saying that there's a gun culture in the United States, which is corrosive. How do you see it?
I think especially in the black community, I don't know if it's a gun culture, it's a crime culture. You know, we as black people, and I always say we don't have respect for each other. You know, we got more black men in prison than we do in college. And crime in our neighborhoods is running rampant. I know everybody reacts when something like the Belcher thing happened, but being black, this is something you deal with all the time. And it's just sad. I'm a guy, I carry a gun. I carry a gun.
You live in Arizona, where you can legally carry a gun.
Even when I lived in Philadelphia, I've had a gun. I carry a gun in my car every year of my life since I was 21, 22. Never had to use...
Are you packing right now?
No. I can beat you and John. I can beat you and John.
We better say the right thing.
So you assess the situation, whether you need an equalizer or not.
I don't think I need it with you two. But I would never... I shouldn't say never. I just feel safer with it because, you know, we have jocks who get robbed all the time, road rage and things like that. I feel a sense of peace when I have it with me, but it would take extreme circumstances for me to even touch it.
But here's a question.
Can I just say something?
Go
Because I feel safer without it. I've got to say, I just think that there's so many bad things that could happen. That's why someone like Mayor Bloomberg in New York City, where I live, has advocated, I think rightly so, that we get as many guns as possible off the streets. Because there's too many scenarios. I don't know what's come out with this guy in the Kansas City Chiefs, whether he's on drugs, whether had been drinking, whether he's use of steroids. There's all types of scenarios that would make it that much easier to pick up a gun and do something.
Well, I just feel safer with it. And like I said, I'm not going to, like, I've never used it, obviously, but I just feel safer because, like I say, you're always nervous when people know you have cash. They know your schedule. A lot of guys that are in our business are getting robbed, coming home late at night. They know when you're coming in off a road trip. I just feel safer with it. And I understand his point. But for me, it's a personal choice. And like I say, it would take extreme. Obviously, I'm 50 years old now. I've had it since I was 21 or 22. It would take...
Have you ever used it?
Never.
Okay. We can't get to every aspect of this, but I think some people...
Well, listen, you know what? You talk about that. I think the big picture with this whole thing is, man, I'm really, I know John has daughters and I have daughters. This whole thing to me is about domestic violence.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And some people misunderstood when I pointed to what Jason Whitlock had said about a gun culture. They thought I was laying everything at the feet of that. Domestic violence is part of it. The possible effect that football itself has on many of its participants is part of it. Drugs and alcohol could be part of it. And I didn't specifically say anything about gun control legislation or about the Second Amendment. I don't want to repeal the Second Amendment. I think we should have responsible gun control, but that wouldn't prohibit somebody from carrying a gun. What I was talking about was this gun culture. And now we see, we're taping this on Tuesday, it airs on Thursday, we see that Javon Belcher texted a friend saying, I have 8 guns, and talking about being angry at his girlfriend, and I have 8 guns. Tony Dungy on Sunday, one of the most respected people in all of sports, said he gathered his Colts team once at training camp. There were 80 guys there. He said, raise your hand if you have a gun. 65 guys raised their hand. Even if every one of those guys had a gun legally, you have to believe that more bad things than good are going to come out of that.
I must say, I come from the totally opposite end of the spectrum. I mean, tennis has long been considered sort of a sissy sport, upper-class sport, but I have never known a single tennis player in my 35 years that has carried or owned a gun that I'm aware of. So this is like a totally different thing, and it just seems like there's so much higher risk. I mean, they're getting themselves even in way deeper trouble potentially with what Bob just alluded to carry a weapon. I mean, I think that just increases like tenfold the risk of something bad happening.
Well, I think you have to factor, like I say, and I don't mean to minimize you guys, but I think it's a problem that's really in the black community. We don't have respect for each other. Like I said, our crime numbers are ridiculous, and that's going to have an effect upon you as you get older.
And there's a certain romanticizing of guns.
No, I never look at it like that.
You don't, but some do.
No, those are crooks, Bob. Listen, you know, you can talk about gun culture. This is about crook culture, in my opinion. I mean...
But Javon Belcher was not a crook leading up to. His record was clean.
But see, I don't believe...
He had a gun, and influenced by other factors, the gun was there, and it was easy to use it.
Yeah, but listen, there's some other stuff had to be going on there.
Oh, and there was.
Yeah, because
there was.
That kid, you don't kill your girlfriend and yourself unless you got some issues. I don't really, that to me doesn't have anything to do with guns.
And obviously you can kill someone with something other than a gun.
True.
But a gun makes it easier.
Yeah, no question.
Or 8 guns. You said 8 guns. I mean,
first of all, nobody needs 8 guns.
That's correct.
To me, you know,
last thing on this topic, I had this conversation recently with David Stern. I cannot think of a single incident. There have been incidents, of course, in society, but I can't think of a single incident involving a professional athlete where that athlete having a gun diffused a dangerous situation or averted a dangerous situation where there was a good outcome. Someone was in danger, something could have gone wrong, but the guy, like the sheriff in the Old West or like Dirty Harry, was able to make it right. I can't think of any such situation, but I can think of dozens of situations that turned out tragically because an athlete had a gun.
I'm certainly happy to say, with the temper that I have had over the years, that I wasn't in a position to even have to think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that you don't worry about something happening at times, but at the same time, forget the other people. I'll talk about myself. I wouldn't want to put myself in that position. And dirty. I don't want to. You know, it looks good on a movie. You know, in the real world, it's not going to. Even if it turned out that you were self-defense and it was justified, it would still be scar you for the rest of your life.
It's a tough. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. But like I say, on the Belcher thing, man, as a guy who has a daughter, this is 100%. We can talk about the gun. Ain't never a reason for a man to put his hands on a woman, period.